Hey YouTube, this video is going to cover 4 different models in the Buck Vantage line. On the left, that is the Buck Vantage Select. Right next to that is the Buck Vantage Avid, A-V-I-D. Next to that is the Buck Pro Vantage. And next to that is the Buck Pro Force Vantage. Alright, let's talk price. The first 2 knives, I just checked them today on Amazon. Both going for $32 each, and that's quite a bargain. All right, now the Buck Pro Vantage, that's going for $55 right now. All right, and the Pro Force Vantage, most expensive, going for $82 at the moment. All right, so from $32 to $82 is your price range. Now let's identify what all 4 models have in common. All right, as I said, they're all 3.1 inches in blade length by my measurement. They are all very high hollow grinds, right? And they are all liner locks. All right, and just to show that, there is the liner lock right there, and that is the high hollow grind on that drop point blade shape. All right, now as far as the steels and handle material, that's the main difference between these blades, all right? This is 420HC, right? The Avid is a Sandvik steel, and the last 2 are S30V, right? The handle material, or the handle scales, I should say, on this, FRN, on this, Dymondwood, right? And the last 2, G10. Now you might be saying, why am I even bothering showing these 2? Wouldn't most people just, you know, pay a bit more and go for the S30V? Well, not in this case, not necessarily, because this is no ordinary 420. This is Buck's 420HC with these all have the Paul Bose heat treatment, known as one of the best heat treatments in the business. And this is the same 420 that's in the legendary Buck 110 and Buck 112. All right, and I've talked to many people who've owned those knives, and they love the steel. They love the steel for that use, mainly because it is so easy to resharpen. So if you already have a Buck knife, the most copied knife in the world according to Buck, right, the Buck 110, it would make sense because of the commonality of the steel. You're already familiar with working with that steel, so you may want to consider getting this knife in that same steel. As for the Avid Vantage, this is, you can see, all right, 13C26. That is a Sandvik, a Swedish stainless steel. And, you know, that is one of the few steels where I often hear people say that they actually prefer Sandvik steel to other steels that are basically more expensive and more prestigious. Sandvik steel has a lot of loyal users out there, right? So offering this in Sandvik for $32, I could definitely see why some people might choose to buy this one, even in preference to these ones, especially when price is considered. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a Sandvik steel. And the last 2 with the S30V, well, that is many people's preference for a folding knife steel, and it's, like I said, this is $55 right now. Right, that's one of the lowest prices on an S30V blade that you can find. So in conclusion, you know, they have 4 different models. I could make a case, when you consider price and different uses, I could make a case for any of these 4. Basically, none of these models is a waste. Each one could fill a different role in your toolbox, so to speak. All right, let's get into some of the differences between the different models. First of all, the Pro Vantage and the Avid are sold as hunting knives. I interpret that to mean general outdoor utility folders. All right, and these both have open pillar construction, you see there. Now, the Pro Force Vantage, it's called Force after, you know, the military forces, I believe, because this is their military model, meaning for soldiers. You see the main difference. They have added this back spacer, right, and this weighs a bit more. These weigh about 4 ounces. This weighs a little bit more, but for the extra weight, it's just a more solid construction. They've also added a stone wash because in the military you don't want highly reflective surfaces. All right, and they've added more texture because for a hunting knife, let's say you were skinning something or just doing an outdoor task for a prolonged period of time, they made this very smooth for comfort. Right? Their military version, less smooth, more grippy, just for those very brief high-stress situations where grip is paramount over comfort. Interestingly, the Vantage Select is a combination of these two. Right? You see, it has the back spacer of the Force model, but then the actual scales, they're smooth like the other models. Right? And you see it does have the stone-washed blade like the Force. Right? And you see these have a swedge right there, whereas the other two do not have the swedge. As far as handle scale materials, the two S30V models, those are both G10. The Avid with the Sandvik steel, this is Dymondwood. Dymondwood is basically real wood, and then the the spaces inside the wood are filled with resin. All right, it's very smooth. So Dymondwood is basically half natural and half synthetic. All right, and lastly, this is FRN. Right, those handle scales there. And I think as far as appearance, I would have to say that this Select, to me, this has the nicest appearance of all the handle scales. So why do I recommend this line as my overall pick for EDC under $100? Well, there's several factors. First of all, these are all made in the USA. Right. Second, the price. I mean, $32 for either of these. That's a bargain. $55 for this, still a bargain. And even this, I mean, with the improvements they've added, I think these are very high value. The next reason would be the weight. 4 ounces for this, slightly more for this, but around 4 ounces. You know, a few ounces doesn't really matter to me, but if weight does matter to you, you probably have a mark off of around 4 ounces. So this fits into the weight parameters of even the truly uptight. The next reason is the blade length. Now, I don't know if you realize it or not, but I've talked to so many people about knives through my channel over the last few years. I can tell you among my subscribers, the most popular everyday carry length is 3 inches. The next most popular is 3.5, and there's a lot that are also in the 3.3 length because of the Spyderco Tenacious. So, you know, the first, second, and third most popular lengths, that range right there at 3.1, these are right in that sweet spot, very close to what the majority, probably 90% of my subscribers prefer in the blade length, you know, within 0.1 or 2 of that perfect length for most people. Next reason would be the functionality of the more pointed drop point tip design. Why is that highly functional? Because it leaves a lot of material closer to the true tip, which gives it strength, but yet these are all perfectly pointed enough to do penetrating cuts if necessary. All right, so functionality while maintaining as much strength as they can. Now, one hit that I think these could take, if anyone had a complaint on these, it might be the hollow grind. But you have to realize this is a high hollow grind. All right, much better than the really low chunky bevel that I've ranted on before. So it's a high hollow grind, and it's also very shallow, meaning it's almost a flat grind. All right, so even if hollow isn't your favorite grind, it could be way worse. Like if you're gonna do a hollow grind, a high bevel and almost flat, I think is the way to go. Another reason I like these, the opening options. If you want to flip it out real fast, you can use the index flipper, or you can use the opening slot. I prefer that, right, because it's slow and silent, well, until the click, but you can't help that. But it's just, I like that because it draws less attention. Now, one other thing you should know about this line, because I don't want to, I don't want to sugarcoat or pretend that they're completely perfect. The grinds on these are a little bit uneven, and it's the kind of thing that you probably would not even notice unless it was pointed out, but I'll just show that to you now. The secondary grind, it flares out, right, and then check the other side. Right, it's shaped slightly differently on one side than the other. Okay, so it's a slightly uneven grind, but like I said, it's the type of thing you might not even notice unless you're looking for it. Also on this, the Select model, notice they've messed up the edge grind a little bit to the point where this looks like it has just the tiniest bit of recurve. It's not supposed to be a recurve, okay? It's supposed to be exactly the same as this, basically like that. All right, so they messed up that grind a little bit. All right, so I just wanted you to be aware of that issue. I don't want to pretend like these are the most perfect thing in the universe. Like I said, these two, $32, okay? So tiny little things with the grind. Even with that considered, I still recommend these overall as the best EDC value within their price range. All right, I hope you enjoyed seeing this lineup and seeing the little differences. Hopefully it gave you good information. If you're looking for something under $100 for EDC, highly recommended. If you want to go higher than $100, well, I'd recommend a Microtech if you want to go high-end production. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for many more. I'm out.